Hey guys, what's up? I hope you guys have finished placing the objects and doing all the material editings. Now we'll be getting into the rendering portion. So for rendering, what we're going to do is we're going to be selecting this photo sign over here. The photo sign will basically let us enter into this render mode where we can select various different kinds of views. So the first view that I'll be selecting will be from here. And to save this view, I can press Ctrl 1, which will basically do a click and it will save the image over here. The second one I'll be taking from the front, so I can do Ctrl 2. Third one I'll be doing from this side, a little lower. Now I can either do Ctrl 3 or I can just click on the store camera button over here and it will just store a photo. And let's say the last one I kind of make a wrong selection. If I want to delete it, I'll just double click on this trash can over here. I'll take a road view as well. And here we're good to go. Now once we have set each of these images, we aren't yet ready for getting into the render. We have to add effects behind these. So for adding effects, we can click on this new effect tab which is on the left corner, and we can get into these various different effects which we have been provided with. Obviously, some of the effects are good when you're making a walkthrough, some are good on certain different times. So we'll be using various different effects on different views to just kind of get an understanding of what these effects really are and how they help us make our views better. So for the first view, I'm going to be selecting sun, shadow, reflection, and all of this is coming from world. I'll go into weather and select clouds. This is still for the first view itself. I'll go to camera, select 2-point perspective. I'll get into style and select analog color lab. I'll even select color correction. I'll go into artistic, and I think from here we don't really need to select anything for this specific view, and we leave sketch also for another view. Now once I've added all of these, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to run down the previous pages so I reach sun and shadow. Here we can control the entire sun, which the same way we control it while we are working on building it. So we can just control the sun in the way we actually want it for this specific first view. So as you can see, I can control the sun anyhow. Alright, then we've got the brightness of the sun. I think I'll just reduce the brightness slightly. Yeah. Then we have got the shadows. Now shadows are basically going to let us control all the shadow parts over here. So I can increase the brightness of the shadows, and you'll see wherever there is a shadow, it kind of increases the brightness. Now we don't want to increase it too much because in the end of the day there is going to be a slight amount of shadow. I'll just increase the outdoor so it brightens up a little bit more. The coloring will, you can see, get it lighter towards a more bluer, cooler coloring over here, and when you take it towards the left, it gives you a little more deeper, darker color. Then we have got the Omni shadows. Omni shadows are basically all the edges where there's a very dark, deep shadow happening. You can deeper it like this, or you can reduce its depth by reducing the Omni shadow. Shadow correction would correct some parts of the shadow which might be flickering, but if there is not a lot of flickering, then we don't really need to get into that. You have the render detail, so we can keep it on super so that we have the best quality render. I'll go to the next page. You can see over here we have reflection. Now how reflection works is basically all the materials that we have given reflection to will reflect minutely but not effectively. So for getting effective reflections, we are going to be using the edit button over here. And now you can see we have this plus button, which is basically to add plane. and we'll be adding planes on wherever we need the reflection to happen. So like as we need the reflection on this glass, we will have reflection on the metal. We will even have reflection on this metal. We'll have some reflection in the interior parts as well. So here, even in the interior glass. We can add some on the door over here. We can add some on the flooring as well. Of course, do remember we can only add up to 10 planes over here, so not more than 10. So anything which is mostly going to be visible within our view, we would preferably add those over here. And if you want to remove a plane, like I want to remove this one, I can just click on it again and it will get removed. I'll just add the plane, something like that, and I'll press the back button. Now once I'm done with that, I have lost the view, so I can just double click on the store camera button again and I'll get back to the view which I had set. Now for the next, I'm going to get into the clouds. So of course we can change the position of the clouds. We can even change the amount of clouding that we require. With the low clouds, we've got the high clouds. And now we've got the 2-point perspective. So the minute I switch on 2-point perspective, you'll see that my building has gotten actually upright. So once it gets upright, we understand that we might need a little more view within it because it was not fitting previously in the building. The building was not fitting previously inside the entire view. So now you can see how this building is actually given much more sturdiness and it looks much more realistic just with the 2-point perspective view being switched on. Next we have the analog color lab over here. So if I increase the style, you can see it goes into various different modes and patterns. Now whichever one is the best for you or for the view that you are trying to generate, you can easily select that. Now let's say we have I think the last one was really good, but then we need to reduce the amount because it's not, we don't want too much of it, or you can increase the amount if you want too much of the same style. So we'll just reduce the amount over here. I think this seems like a decent side view. We can go to color correction next to enhance the contrast. Now of course, not just the contrast, but we have the minimum, the maximum, the gamma effect, so how much brightness again you want, the saturation, you can reduce that a little bit over here. In the end of the day, it's going to be an exterior view, so we'd want to have a nice bright view over here. So we can increase the brightness and then slightly decrease the contrast, because if we increase it, get too bright. Just kind of set each of them in accordance to what you feel the perfect view would be for you as well. I guess we're done with our 4 pages now, and I think I would like to give a little more brightness to the entire view, so I'll just increase the height of the sun slightly. And I'll just change the heading. So I think this would be a very good view for being the first view. It's bright, it's neat, it looks effective. You can also reduce the brightness of the shadows to get that little more depth within where the dark areas are. Now once we're done with this entire part, we don't need to really click a save button anywhere because it's already done over here once, but we will click Ctrl 1 again to kind of just set that 2-point perspective shift which we had done. Now I'll go to the second camera over here again. You can see the difference now, how dark this view is. We have to get into the editing again. Now if I like the view that we have already created here and we need to just copy this view, what we can do is we can click on this spanner which is right on top, which is near photo 1, and I can click on the edit button, and on the copy effects I can easily go to the second view over here, click on the edit button and go to paste effects. So automatically you will see all the effects get pasted out over here. Again, I'll be going back a little bit, so I'll press Ctrl 2 so we set this view again. Over here I'll be changing the sun height, so I'll be actually reducing the height over here. I'll be changing the sun height and the sun heading because I think there's too much shadow within this view. Yeah, so I think this would be a better look for this kind of, or this side of a view. Can increase the brightness of the shadows over here. So I think this seems like a much more decent view as compared to what it was initially. And we can now go to the third view. Now for this view I am going to also paste the effects again so that we have a straight view over here rather than that bent view. And I am going to again do a Ctrl 3 so that we have set the new look for the view. But as you can see, this side looks very dark. So for that I'm just going to go ahead and again maybe increase the brightness of the shadow so it kind of lightens up a little bit. So we have a bright view on this side as well. And once we're done with this, what we're going to do is we're going to add a new effect, because I would like to introduce a sketch effect to you all as well. And you all can see how this sketch kind of comes out over here. We can reduce the accuracy as well as the style of the sketch, or increase it or decrease it depending on what we really need. So again, each of these different styles or effects which are there out over here will basically let us create various different kinds of looks for the entire building. So I'm just going to reduce the height of the sun over here slightly and the brightness. That's fine. Now let this view be this way. You all can even try various different kinds of views as well. So I'm just going to get into this sketch. I think these 4 views seem good enough. This is our first view, our second view. We'll still be working on our 4th view. For the 3rd view, I think this is good. For the 4th view, we have taken a road look. Again, if I go ahead and just paste the effects over here, you'll see how everything again just shifts to a change. I will be changing the height over here a bit. Give it a little more brighter, and the heading. So this road as well becomes bright. Now once I'm done with this, I'll increase the brightness so slightly of the building as well. Now once I'm done with this, I'm going to be adding a new effect here, which is basically a blueprint effect. So what this is going to do is it's going to kind of give you an entire blueprint look of the entire thing. So you can see I increased the time, so it gives you this entire blueprint look of the entire view. So this is another effect that we can add when we want to kind of add views as a presentation. So we can even reduce the grid scale or increase the grid scale depending on how we want the entire view to just look for us. I'll be also removing this so I can show you all different types of effects as well. So let's say a pastel sketch. As you can see, this would be how it is, and we have got various different objects, different types of sketches in it as well. So again, more of presentation. If you guys need to add it maybe in a concept sheet or something like that, then you can really go ahead and use this as well. Depth of field, which basically highlights certain portions, and I'll just add even maybe the building would be the focus point over here. I can just press back, And now this part will become our main focus. I can add amount of disruption. So you can see the more I add amount, the more the focus starts to deviate. So you can see how this car is being mostly highlighted now over here. Again, I can change that portion from here to the car perfectly and just go ahead and press back. So now you'll see how much this car is being highlighted over here, and everything else kind of just focuses out from it. So this could also be used when you want to focus on a certain thing, but if you're not very used to the focus, you can just click on autofocus. Itself will focus on what it has to be done. So I'm going to leave this view so that we kind of get into seeing how it looks after a render as well. Now once we have set all these different views, so I have the pastel view, I have the autofocused view, I have these other two standard views as well. Once we're done setting all the effects for the views, we can go for a render now. And for rendering, what we'll be doing is, you can see the save photo set below the renders. If we switch it on, it will render back to back over here. And if we switch it off, then the only render which will happen will be the view that we are on. Now since we want to render all of them back to back, we'll come on the first view and click on the save photo set as on. Hyperlight can be turned on, but it was preferable to turn on hyperlight when we are working with indoor views. Next we have the email, desktop, print and poster. So these are of course the quality of the images that would come out. So the email being the lowest and the poster being the highest, and then you have the desktop and the print in the mid range. So for now we'll be removing desktop quality views. Y'all can go ahead and also remove poster quality views to see how good the view actually turns out to be. I'm just going to go ahead and create a new folder over here saying views, and I'll just enter into this and give it a number, say 1, and save. Then you'll automatically see your entire screen goes into a render mode, and on the left corner you can see the amount of frames it's taking to actually render each view. The good part about Lumion is it does not take too much time to render views, unlike its competition which is V-Ray or any of those. Those take quite a lot of time. This keeps it down to below 2 to 5 minutes per render, even on high quality. Of course, depending on how good the computer or the machine is which you are working on. Now we're done with the views. I'm going to just go and show you guys how these views look. And there we are, guys. These are the views that have come out after just an hour's work of editing and working around. Really good. All the best, guys. Do share your views with us on our page and send it to us as well. Take care, guys. Thank you.